Hello, welcome to the round 21 review here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. As the Blues lose again, this time it was 10 goals, 7, 67 to 15 goals, 4, 94. A 27-point loss at the hand of the Fremantle Dockers in a game where, the Blues were in control for the majority of the day. And really there was a fourth quarter collapse that happened and you just left watching much of the same. I got to say, going into the game I gave it no chance. So I'm not shocked. I'm not devastated, obviously disappointed in the loss, but also I didn't expect to win. And neither did the general public. So there's that. However, one thing I really was pleased to watch today was the application. I've been drawing on my experience as a Carlton supporter in this very situation. You get to this point in the year, the season's dead, you're not a finals contender, you're somewhere in the bottom 6 to 7 teams of the competition, and the bad losses start coming at this point. So season's over, not much to play for other than some pride, but hadn't really seen too much pride over the last month or so. There've been spurts here and there for quarters, maybe even a quarter and a half. But no, I actually thought this week there was a different approach to the game mentally, which was rather pleasing. Charlie Curnow was ruled out early in the week. Adam Chera was ruled out. We know that Sam Doherty was ruled out as he played his last game last week. So we actually lost quite a bit of experience in the team. And it was left to the kids with some sprinkling of seniority in there. And I think that's what made the first quarter so pleasing. I have to say, the way we started the game was infectious. I think the first 7 or 8 inside 50s were Carlton. Akers got on the scoreboard. Moya hits the scoreboard. Motlop hits the scoreboard. Francis Evans hits the scoreboard. I blinked and we were 24-0 in full control, full dominance. And I wouldn't say that I haven't seen dominance like that quarter this year, because we've seen it in first quarters. It just falls apart and falls away like it did in this game. But I was up and about. I was enjoying it. It looked different and it felt different from what I had seen in the last month or so. Up by 18 odd at quarter time. It continued on into the second, and naturally, as I've been watching this year, I almost wait for the collapse. But the second quarter was pretty strong. The pressure from Carlton was brilliant. It was. I had written notes throughout the game, and I had found myself saying about the pressure, the way that they were applying themselves. They were gang tackling, they were getting their hand in between the ball and the man. They were just where they needed to be. They were applying the pressure at a really high level and forcing turnover and just making it really difficult. And I spoke a little bit about it on the fan cams, but I don't know how you view that game if you're a Fremantle supporter. But we had one person comment about, the extreme pressure that the Blues put the Dockers under. But, I really enjoyed it. And then, the magic of footy and the way that you can believe in your team can sometimes take over. And, sometimes you need something unusual to happen. And I thought it was happening when Harry O'Farrell, set the scene. He's had a really good game last week against Hawthorn in a pretty poor loss for Carlton, and he's been the shining light. He's put his head in the hole of this contest, taken the mark, copped a hit from, I think it was Tracy, after the mark. So he's been awarded a 50-metre penalty, goes forward, kicks the goal. Absolute scenes. They're getting into him. He's like a beacon of light in a year where it's just been so dismal and so disappointing. Whether it's injuries to youngsters or just the dysfunction of the team and the rot. I don't want to go into it too much. I'll probably go into it later in this video because it always seems to come up. But the Carlton rot of 2025. All of the things that the supporters have endured this year. He kicks the goal, and I actually start believing, fuck, we are all over them. We had responded every time the Dockers had made a good passage of play or they kicked a goal, and Harry O'Farrell goes forward, kicks a goal. Schofield on the commentary saying, gee, Carlton, they're just having a crack. It was spot on. They were having a crack. It was unbelievable. Fogarty pins Banfield later on after the Harry O'Farrell goal. Pins him, kicks the goal. I'm thinking, we are on here. We've laid 8 forward 50 tackles to 0 at this point. And I genuinely was believing that something was brewing. And then unbelievable scenes. So Harry O'Farrell goes up for a contest, gets knocked. We'll have to watch it again. I reckon it was a free kick. Tracy's just sort of knocks him while he's in the air, and he therefore loses his balance and lands off balance. And if your planting foot is off balance, you're at risk of doing an injury, and he hurts himself and does his knee, grabs for it straight away. There's footage that I've seen online of him saying it popped. Vossi said in his press conference that it's a suspected ACL, which is just crazy. Like, I'll cop the team is shit, poor performances, the game plan doesn't work, the coach is out of his depth, the assistants are shit, the head of football is garbage. Like, I'll cop all of it. Like, okay, we just made poor decisions and employed the wrong people. Like, okay, like, I won't cop it, but I'll kind of will cop it for the purpose of this conversation. But for Harry O'Farrell to do his knee, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what are we living through? Like, what is happening? It's just bizarre. And so, he now goes through that journey of, shock, sadness, and then he's going to have to realize pretty quickly that he's on the journey back. So he'll go through that. He'll have his surgery, and his career starts there. And, he'll make a positive out of it, and it'll build resilience in him and all of those things. And I'm sure it will, but you still have to process it. And I'm filming this right after the fan cam, so I guess I'm still processing it too. But it's just bewildering. Like, how much more can the sport give you to test you on how to attach or not attach yourself to it? Because it's all out of our control. So anyway, that happens. That was a real kick in the dick. But there were still some pretty good signs afterwards. The team regrouped pretty quickly. Relentless. There was a number of smothers straight away. I think Harry Mackay smothered a kick straight away into Flynn Young. Josh Tracy kicks a wild goal straight after that. But then all of a sudden I started seeing these little moments happen. I'm like, what is that? So Mark Pitternet bursting out of a stoppage, lowering the eyes, hitting Zach Williams on a lead. Just brilliant goal. Lewis Young chase down tackle. Motlop chases down Sarong, but then makes a mistake. But so, like, the application and the attitude, I think, were there. Go into halftime up by 24 points. I thought the effort for the most part and the application and the attitude was there all game. But the second half, what I started seeing was they were no longer playing on instinct. In the first half, there was a lot of just first option, get it going forward. They knew what they needed to do. I don't think the weather was as bad as what I thought it was going to be. It started raining, but then it kind of stopped. And then in the second half, I just saw there were various moments where the Carlton players were just thinking, just for that split second too much. Whether it's thinking about what they needed to do because of the game plan or just the weight of expectation of the win started coming onto them. And, you got to also give credit to Fremantle, who started lifting their intensity because they need to win the game. They're in the finals race. They win, they go to fifth. They lose, they're at risk. So a couple of moments. I thought Harry Mackay built into the game. He kicked 1 goal for the game, which is not enough, obviously, for the sole forward, recognised forward on the day. But I just thought his application for the contest was there. He laid 10 tackles, which I don't know if he's ever done that before, but he's a really interesting player to watch. He needed some game time to get up to speed. I thought from when he took his contested mark in the third quarter, he clicked. It all clicked for him. He had an appetite that I haven't seen from him all season, to be honest. He was chasing down guys. He was rubbing guys' head into the turf. He was up for it. Ultimately, up by 8 points going into the fourth quarter. So the third quarter kind of played out very similar to what have seen, what you have seen, what we've seen all season. And then there was that fourth quarter. How was it going to play out? Were we going to be able to hold on? Were we going to be able to regroup? Vossi comes down to the bench because the panic starts kicking in. Started seeing it. Switkowski kicks the first goal of the fourth. Tracy kicks the goal to put them up after not leading for the entire game, the Dockers. Harry Mackay really lifted after that. Took a really strong contested mark. Then there was just brain farts. So Pitto takes a good mark, has a set shot from about 45 out. Maybe he didn't trust himself. Harry demanded the ball. I don't know what happened there, but he handballs it to Harry. Harry kicks it out in the full. Don't know. I feel like if you're calling for the ball, you've got to make sure you at least register a score or kick the goal. And then out of nowhere, Wiedering loses his head. I just don't know how it happens, why it happens. He loses his head, drops the ball. He was about to kick it. He drops it. He fumbles, and then he kicks it, and it's insufficient intent. And then just a series of unfortunate events, and the collapse happens. It happens so quickly. I thought for a moment there we were going to turn it around. Durden has a pretty important shot on goal, kicks it. And then, unfortunately, Cowan gives away a free to Dudley, and it's Dockers by 10 at that point. And then, Patrick Voss kicks a dagger, and then it blows out to 16. And then before you know it, you blink, down by 27, game over. So fair play to Freo. They had more to play for, and they won the game. But if you are a Freo fan, how did you absorb that? I am very curious how you watched that, because for the Carlton side of things, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed. The season's been a disaster, and it's more of the same shit. Started well, fell away in the second half. Yeah, okay, there's kids out there, but still, there is somewhat of a standard that we're looking at here, So if you're a Freo fan, how do you watch that? Are you buoyed by the fact that you were challenged and you were able to pull away, or are you worried that you let a Carlton team sort of dictate terms for the majority of that game until you had to, dig deep and dig within? End of the day, the winner is all that matters. So they win by 27. They played well. They did their thing and got the job done. For Carlton, yeah, look, good signs, individuals, some youngsters in there. But I think more than anything, I actually enjoyed watching that game. And I haven't enjoyed watching a game for a little while now, but I enjoyed what I saw. And I'm very clear that I understand what this season is. It's clearly going to be a season of transition. Don't know how much transition, but quite a lot of transition and change. And so it's just this awkward part of waiting. So fair play to the boys for having the attitude that they displayed in this game. But ultimately it wasn't good enough. And it's not good enough. Close enough's not good enough. 3/4 is not good enough. But you can see you can build off that attitude and that application, I think anyway. And I think as a supporter, that's kind of what you want to see at a base level. It's a shame that we're talking in this way again. I feel like I'm talking like it's 2018 again. There were 3/4, but they just fell away. And it's a shame. But the season's been a shame. So, yeah. Shout out for Harry O'Farrell. Stoked for some of these guys who have been under pressure, who've performed well. What does it all mean? I don't know. What does any of it all mean, really? Okay, we had a bad year. Okay. What does it all actually mean in the grand scheme of things? We'll figure that one out, or we won't. But yeah, that was round 21 against the Dockers. What about you? What was your summary of round 21? What have you seen from this game that has stuck with you? I'm sure a lot of your sentiments will be around Harry O'Farrell, so obviously leave them down below. But yeah, what themes came to you from round 21 that you want to highlight? We'll chat to you in the comments. We'll go from there. Go Blues.